You have more power than you realize. But you waste it on anger, on distraction, on fear. A disciplined mind doesn't chase approval. It doesn't fear failure. It doesn't flinch. You must become the master of your own thoughts, because, until you do, the world will rule you, and a man ruled by the world is not truly alive. Choose reason over reaction. Choose command over chaos. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind. And tell us, where are you watching from? Listen to me carefully. You are not powerless. You never were. The world wants you to believe otherwise. It wants you to think that your circumstances, your past, your failures define what you can become. This is a lie. And until you reject this lie completely, you will remain a slave to forces that have no right to rule you. Every morning you wake up with a choice. Will you be the commander of your thoughts, or will you let them command you? Will you decide what deserves your attention, or will every noise, every slight, every fear drag you wherever it pleases? This is not philosophy. This is war. The battlefield is your mind. You were not made to crumble under pressure. You were made to stand firm. But most people collapse at the first sign of discomfort. They feel anger, and they become anger. They feel fear, and they become fear. They hand over their sovereignty to whatever emotion screams loudest. This is not strength. This is surrender. Here's what most people don't understand. You can observe your thoughts without obeying them. You can feel anger without acting in anger. You can experience fear without being ruled by fear. The disciplined mind creates space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your power. When someone insults you, you have a choice. React, and they control you. Respond with reason, and you control yourself. When failure strikes, you have a choice. Collapse into self-pity, and you remain broken. Extract the lesson, and you grow stronger. When fear whispers that you're not enough, you have a choice. Believe it, and you prove it true. Challenge it, and you prove it false. But let me ask you this. How many times today did you choose? How many times did you pause between feeling and acting? How many times did you question whether your immediate reaction served your highest good? The untrained mind is like a wild horse. It goes wherever it wants, whenever it wants. The trained mind is like a disciplined soldier. It goes where you command it to go. Both require daily practice. Both require constant attention. But only one serves your true nature. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not your doubt. You are the one who observes these things. You are the one who can choose whether to feed them or starve them. You are the commander, not the commanded. Every time you resist a destructive impulse, you build strength. Every time you choose reason over reaction, you reclaim power. Every time you refuse to be controlled by external forces, you prove your true nature. You are not powerless. You are simply untrained. The reclaiming begins now, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when you feel ready. Now, because the man who waits for perfect conditions never acts. The man who waits to feel strong never becomes strong. The man who waits for courage never finds it. You already have what it takes. You always did. The only question is whether you'll use it. Will you choose to command your thoughts, or will you let them command you? The choice is yours. It always has been. Look around you. Watch how people live. They are ruled by forces they refuse to acknowledge. Anger pulls them left. Fear pushes them right. The need for approval drags them forward. And they call this living. This is not living. This is slavery. What rules you, owns you. If anger can make you say things you regret, anger owns you. If fear can stop you from pursuing what matters, fear owns you. If the opinions of others can change your course, those opinions own you. You are not free until you rule yourself, but freedom terrifies most people. They prefer the familiar chains of reaction to the unknown responsibility of choice. They would rather blame their circumstances than own their responses. They would rather be victims than commanders. You must decide which you will be. Every emotion that controls your behavior is a master you have chosen. Every opinion that shifts your decisions is a ruler you have crowned. Every fear that stops your progress is a tyrant you have empowered. You created these masters, and you can uncreate them. Here's what most people don't understand. Your emotions are not facts. They are interpretations. When someone criticizes you, that is a fact. When you feel angry about it, that is your interpretation. When you lash out, that is your choice. The criticism cannot hurt you. Only your reaction to it can. But let me ask you this. Who taught you to react this way? Who convinced you that every feeling must become an action? Who told you that your emotions deserve to run your life? The disciplined mind knows the difference between feeling and following. You can feel angry without acting angry. You can feel afraid without being paralyzed. You can feel disappointed without becoming bitter. Emotions are visitors. You don't have to let them move in. Watch the successful. They feel what you feel. They doubt what you doubt. They fear what you fear. But they do not obey these feelings. They acknowledge them and act according to their principles anyway. This is why they succeed where others fail. The weak man is ruled by his moods. Good day, good decisions. Bad day, bad decisions. His life swings like a pendulum, controlled by forces outside his command. The strong man makes the same decision regardless of how he feels. His principles are steady. His course is fixed. Which man are you? Every time you act from emotion instead of principle, you surrender more power. Every time you change your mind because someone disagreed with you, you prove that your convictions are weak. Every time you avoid difficulty because it makes you uncomfortable, you teach yourself that comfort is more important than character. This must stop. You must become the ruler of your inner kingdom. Your thoughts are your subjects. Your emotions are your advisors. Your principles are your laws. And you are the sovereign. What you say goes. What you decide stands. What you command happens. But sovereignty is not given. It is taken. Every day you must choose to rule instead of being ruled. Every moment you must decide whether your reactions serve your mission or sabotage it. Every situation you must ask, am I commanding my response, or is my response commanding me? The path to freedom begins with a single recognition. You are not your feelings. You are the one who has feelings. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who thinks thoughts. You are not your reactions. You are the one who chooses reactions. This changes everything. When you understand that you are separate from your inner chaos, you can begin to organize it. When you see that you are the commander, not the commanded, you can start giving orders that serve your highest good. The question is not whether you will have difficult emotions. You will. The question is whether those emotions will have you. Will you be their servant, or will they be yours? The choice is yours. Choose wisely. Most people live in reflex. Something happens, they react. Someone speaks, they respond. An emotion hits, they obey. They are like machines, predictable, automatic, unconscious. This is not human. This is mechanical. You must become the interrupter. Between every stimulus and response lies a space. In that space lives your freedom. Most people never find this space because they never look for it. They go straight from trigger to reaction, from feeling to action, from impulse to behavior. They skip the most important moment, the moment of choice. You must learn to live in that moment. When someone insults, you pause, feel the anger rise, see it clearly, name it. Then ask yourself, does this anger serve my highest good? Will acting from this anger move me toward my goals or away from them? Will this response make me stronger or weaker? This is interruption. This is power. But let me ask you this. How often do you pause before reacting? How often do you question your first impulse? How often do you choose your response instead of letting your response choose itself? Here's what most people don't understand. Your first reaction is not your truest reaction. It is your most conditioned reaction. It is the response you learned from your past. not the response that serves your future. The disciplined mind questions everything, especially its own impulses. Watch how you move through the world. Someone cuts you off in traffic, immediate anger. Someone disagrees with you, immediate defensiveness. Someone ignores you, immediate hurt. You are living in reflex, not in choice. The trained mind operates differently. Stimulus arrives. Pause, observe, evaluate, choose, act. This sequence transforms everything. You move from reaction to response, from automatic to intentional, from slave to master. This requires practice. The pattern of immediate reaction has been carved deep by years of repetition. Breaking it demands conscious effort. Every day you must catch yourself before you react. Every situation you must create space between what happens and how you respond. Start small. When someone speaks to you, pause for one breath before responding. When you feel frustrated, count to 3 before acting. When you want to check your phone, ask yourself why. These tiny interruptions build the muscle of conscious choice. The undisciplined mind says, I had to react that way. I had no choice. This is false. You always have a choice. You may not like your options, but you always have them. The disciplined mind knows this and uses it. You are not a victim of your conditioning. You are not a slave to your habits. You are not a prisoner of your patterns. You are a human being with the power to interrupt any automatic response and choose a better one. Every successful interruption makes the next one easier. Every conscious choice strengthens your ability to make more conscious choices. Every pattern you break weakens the hold of all other patterns. This is how freedom grows, one interruption at a time. The goal is not to eliminate emotion. The goal is to choose which emotions deserve action. The goal is not to stop feeling. The goal is to stop letting feelings stop you. The goal is not to become cold. The goal is to become conscious. You already know what it feels like to react. Without thinking, you know the regret that follows. You know the damage that spreads. You know the weakness that remains. Now learn what it feels like to pause, to choose, to respond from strength instead of reflex. This is the path of the disciplined mind. This is the way of the conscious human. This is how you reclaim your power from the patterns that have ruled you for too long. The interruption starts now. You have been fighting the wrong enemy. You fear rejection, so you avoid connection. You fear failure, so you avoid risk. You fear judgment, so you hide your truth. You spend your life running from ghosts that exist only in your mind. The real enemy is not out there. It is in here. It is the voice that tells you that you are not enough. It is the feeling that whispers you will be exposed as a fraud. It is the certainty that others see your flaws more clearly than your strengths. These enemies are illusions, but they are powerful illusions. They have ruled you longer than any external force. They have limited you more than any person. They have stolen more of your potential than any circumstance. It is time to see them clearly. Fear of failure is not wisdom. It is cowardice disguised as caution. The man who never fails is the man who never tries. The woman who never risks is the woman who never grows. Failure is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It shows you what does not work so you can find what does. But let me ask you this. How many opportunities have you avoided because you might fail? How many dreams have you abandoned because success was not guaranteed? How many versions of yourself have you never met because the risk felt too great? Here is what most people don't understand. Your fear of judgment says more about you than any actual judgment ever could. You fear criticism because you secretly agree with it. You fear rejection because you have already rejected yourself. You fear being seen as inadequate because you believe you are inadequate. This is the real work. Not changing what others think of you, but changing what you think of you. Not avoiding their judgment, but questioning your own. Not hiding your flaws, but accepting them as part of your humanity. The disciplined mind does not eliminate fear. It examines fear. It asks, is this fear protecting me from real danger, or is it protecting me from imagined shame? Is this fear keeping me safe, or is it keeping me small? Most of your fears keep you small. They whisper that comfort is better than growth, that security is better than adventure, that hiding is better than risking. They convince you that the pain of staying the same is less than the pain of changing. This is false mathematics. The pain of growth is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. The discomfort of challenge passes. The ache of unused potential remains. The fear of what might happen is always worse than what actually happens. You must learn to distinguish between reasonable caution and paralyzing fear. Reasonable caution prepares you for real dangers. Paralyzing fear protects you from imaginary ones. One serves your safety. The other serves your ego. Watch how you move through the world. You avoid difficult conversations because they might be uncomfortable. You delay important decisions because they might be wrong. You postpone bold actions because they might not work. You live in the prison of might. The enemy within feeds on uncertainty. It grows stronger when you avoid challenge. It becomes weaker when you face what you fear. Every time you do what scares you, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your fears. Every time you avoid what scares you, you prove the opposite. This is why courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. It is the willingness to move forward while frightened. It is the decision to trust your strength more than your weakness. The disciplined mind knows a secret. Most of what you fear will never happen. And the things that do happen are rarely as devastating as you imagined. Your mind creates monsters that do not exist and arms them with power they do not possess. But you must see this for yourself. You must test your fears against reality. You must discover that rejection does not kill you, that failure does not define you, that judgment does not diminish you. The enemy within loses power when exposed to light. Name your fears, examine their logic, question their authority. Most will crumble under honest scrutiny. The few that remain will reveal themselves as friends in disguise, warnings worth heeding, not masters worth serving. You are not as fragile as you think. You are not as inadequate as you fear. You are not as alone as you feel. The enemy within has lied to you about your true nature. It is time to stop believing those lies. They cannot touch what matters most. They can insult your appearance, question your abilities, mock your dreams. But they cannot reach your core unless you hand them the key. Your dignity is not theirs to steal. Your worth is not theirs to determine. Your value is not theirs to diminish. Offense is taken, not given. When someone speaks harshly to you, their words carry only the power you grant them. When someone dismisses your efforts, their opinion has only the weight you assign it. When someone tries to make you feel small, they succeed only if you agree to shrink. This is the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose what affects you. But most people surrender this freedom without a fight. Someone criticizes them, and they crumble. Someone ignores them, and they doubt themselves. Someone rejects them, and they believe the rejection means something about their worth. Here's what most people don't understand. Other people's behavior tells you about them, not about you. The person who insults you reveals their character, not yours. The person who dismisses you shows their limitations, not yours. The person who cannot see your value demonstrates their blindness, not your worthlessness. But let me ask you this. How often do you take other people's opinions as facts about yourself? How often do you let someone else's bad day become your bad day? How often do you measure your worth by how others treat you? The disciplined mind maintains its own standards. It does not rise and fall with others' moods. It does not seek validation from those who cannot give it. It does not accept judgment from those unqualified to render it. Think about the people whose opinions you fear most. Are they living lives you admire? Are they achieving things you respect? Are they demonstrating character you want to emulate? If not, why do their opinions carry weight in your world? You have been giving away your power to people who do not deserve it. You have been letting others define you when only you know who you truly are. You have been seeking approval from those whose approval means nothing to your actual growth. This must stop. Your worth was not determined by how others treat you. It was determined by how you treat yourself and others. Your value was not assigned by external voices. It was built by internal choices. Your dignity was not granted by society. It was earned by living according to your principles. When someone tries to humiliate you, they reveal their need to feel superior. When someone tries to diminish you, they show their own insecurity. When someone tries to hurt you with words, they demonstrate their poverty of spirit. None of this reflects on you. The strong person does not need to make others feel weak. The secure person does not need to make others feel uncertain. The confident person does not need to make others feel small. When someone attacks you, they are not showing your weakness. They are showing theirs. This does not mean you should accept abuse. This does not mean you should not defend yourself. This means you should not internalize attacks that say nothing true about who you are. The disciplined mind makes a distinction between legitimate criticism and mere attack. Legitimate criticism comes from someone who cares about your growth and delivers feedback with respect. Attack comes from someone who wants to harm you and delivers pain with cruelty. Accept the first. Reject the second. Learn from both. You cannot control how others treat you, but you can control how their treatment affects you. You cannot stop others from trying to hurt you, but you can stop their attempts from succeeding. You cannot prevent others from judging you, but you can prevent their judgments from defining you. This is not about becoming cold or disconnected. This is about becoming selective about whose opinions matter. This is about reserving your emotional investment for those who have earned it through their character and care for your well-being. The person who truly knows you will not try to humiliate you. The person who genuinely cares about you will not try to diminish you. The person who respects you will not try to destroy you with words. Anyone who does these things has disqualified themselves from having influence over your inner world. Guard your inner world carefully. Not everyone deserves access. Not every opinion deserves consideration. Not every attack deserves a response. Your peace of mind is too valuable to hand over to those who would use it against you. No one can humiliate you without your permission. Stop giving it. While others lose their minds, you keep yours. While others react in chaos, you respond with clarity. While others are pulled in every direction by their emotions, you remain centered in your purpose. This is not luck. This is not talent. This is discipline. Calm is your superpower. The person who can remain calm under pressure has already won. They think clearly when others think frantically. They make good decisions when others make desperate ones. They see opportunities when others see only problems. They find solutions when others find only complications. But calm is not the absence of feeling. It is the mastery of feeling. The calm person feels the same anger, fear, and frustration as everyone else. But they do not let these feelings make their decisions. They acknowledge them, learn from them, and then choose their response based on reason, not reaction. Here's what most people don't understand. Your emotional state determines your mental capacity. When you are angry, you become stupid. When you are afraid, you become weak. When you are overwhelmed, you become ineffective. Calm is not just a feeling. It is a form of intelligence. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you made a good decision while panicked? When did you solve a complex problem while angry? When did you perform at your best while overwhelmed? The disciplined mind cultivates calm as a skill, not an accident. It practices remaining centered when life tries to knock it off balance. It trains to stay clear when circumstances become confusing. It develops the ability to find stillness in the middle of storms. This begins with your breathing. When you control your breath, you control your state. When you slow your breath, you slow your reactions. When you deepen your breath, you deepen your thinking. Your breath is the bridge between your body and your mind. Use it wisely. Watch how you breathe. When you are stressed, quick, shallow, erratic. Now watch how you breathe when you are calm, slow, deep, steady. You can create calm by breathing like a calm person. You can access clarity by breathing like a clear thinker. The next time pressure builds, pause. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Breathe out for 6 counts. Repeat until your body remembers what calm feels like. This is not mystical. This is mechanical. Your nervous system responds to your breathing patterns. Change the pattern, change the state. But calm is more than a technique. It is a philosophy. It is the understanding that most things that seem urgent are not important, and most things that seem important are not urgent. It is the wisdom to know what deserves your energy and what deserves your indifference. The calm person asks better questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "How can I make this go away?" they ask, "How can I use this to grow stronger?" Instead of, "Who is to blame?" they ask, "What is my next best step?" Different questions create different emotional states. Victim questions create victim emotions. Empowered questions create empowered emotions. The disciplined mind chooses its questions as carefully as it chooses its actions. Calm is also contagious. When you remain steady, others become steadier. When you stay clear, others think more clearly. When you maintain your center, you help others find theirs. Your calm becomes a gift to everyone around you. This is why leaders must cultivate calm. Above all else, a panicked leader creates panicked followers. An angry leader creates angry followers. A confused leader creates confused followers. But a calm leader creates space for everyone to think, breathe, and choose their best response. You do not need a title to be a leader. You need only the ability to remain calm when others cannot. In every crisis, people look for the person who seems most in control of themselves. That person becomes the unofficial leader, regardless of their formal authority. The disciplined mind practices calm daily, not just in crisis. It finds moments of stillness in busy days. It creates space for reflection in reactive times. It builds the habit of pause so that when pressure comes, pause comes naturally. Calm is not passive. It is not giving up or checking out. It is the most active thing you can do, the conscious choice to remain centered while everything around you spins out of control. It is power disguised as peace. This is your competitive advantage. While others are controlled by their circumstances, you are controlling your response to circumstances. While others are victims of their emotions, you are the master of yours. While others are at the mercy of chaos, you are creating order from within. Calm is your superpower. Use it. You cannot control what enters your mind. Thoughts arrive uninvited. Memories surface without permission. Fears emerge without warning. This is the nature of consciousness, but you can control which thoughts take root. You can decide which ideas deserve your attention. You can choose which mental seeds grow into mental trees. Discipline starts at the gate. The untrained mind is like an unguarded city. Any thought can enter and establish residence. Worry moves in and redecorates the place. Doubt sets up permanent headquarters. Resentment builds monuments to past hurts. Soon the mind becomes crowded with unwelcome tenants who refuse to pay rent. The disciplined mind is different. It posts guards at every entrance. It questions every visitor. It examines every idea before granting entry. Not every thought deserves space in your consciousness. Not every worry deserves consideration. Not every fear deserves a hearing. Here's what most people don't understand. Your first thought is rarely your best thought. It is usually your most conditioned thought, your most fearful thought, your most limiting thought. It comes from your past, not your potential. It reflects where you have been, not where you are going. But let me ask you this. How often do you question your first reaction to events? How often do you examine the thoughts that arise automatically? How often do you ask whether your initial interpretation serves your highest good? The disciplined mind creates space between the first thought and the final judgment. Something happens. A thought arises. Instead of accepting it immediately, you examine it. Is this thought true? Is it helpful? Does it move you toward your goals or away from them? Does it strengthen you or weaken you? This examination changes everything. Most negative thoughts cannot survive honest scrutiny. They crumble when exposed to the light of reason. They dissolve when measured against reality. They lose power when questioned with sincerity. Watch your mental patterns. Someone disagrees with you. First thought, they don't respect me. Someone succeeds where you failed. First thought, I'm not good enough. Someone ignores your message. First thought, they don't care about me. These first thoughts are not facts. They are interpretations. And interpretations can be changed. Someone disagrees with you. Second thought, they have a different perspective that might teach me something. Someone succeeds where you failed. Second thought, their success shows it's possible and gives me a model to follow. Someone ignores your message. Second thought, they're probably busy with their own challenges. Same situation, different thoughts, different emotional results, different behavioral outcomes. The master of the first thought does not try to eliminate negative thinking. He recognizes that negative thoughts will arise and prepares to meet them with better thoughts. He does not fight darkness. He turns on the light. This requires practice. For years, you have accepted your first thoughts as truth. Breaking this habit demands conscious effort. Every day, you must catch yourself believing thoughts that do not serve you. Every situation, you must ask whether your interpretation helps or hurts your progress. Start with small moments. When you feel irritated by traffic, question that irritation. Is this worth your energy? When you feel anxious about a future event, examine that anxiety. Is this fear protecting you or paralyzing you? When you feel hurt by someone's words, investigate that hurt. Is this about them or about you? The goal is not to become emotionless. The goal is to become conscious of the thoughts that create your emotions. Once you see the connection between thinking and feeling, you can begin to think in ways that create the feelings you want. The disciplined mind is like a skilled gardener. It plants thoughts that will grow into strength, wisdom, and peace. It removes thoughts that will grow into weakness, ignorance, and suffering. It tends its mental garden with the same care a farmer tends his crops. Your mind is your garden. Your thoughts are your seeds. Your discipline is your gardening skill. Plant wisely. Tend carefully, harvest deliberately. Master the first thought, and you master your entire mental world. We have been taught a lie. We have been told that feelings are sacred, that emotions are truth, that whatever we feel must be honored and obeyed. This is nonsense. Your feelings are not gods. They are not infallible guides to reality. They are signals, sometimes useful, often misleading, always temporary. You are not obligated to obey every feeling that arises in your consciousness. The modern world worships emotion. Follow your heart, they say. Trust your gut, they insist. Honor your feelings, they demand. But they never ask the obvious question. What if your heart is wrong? What if your gut is confused? What if your feelings are leading you away from your best life? Emotions are chemical reactions to thoughts and circumstances. They are information, not commandments. They tell you something is happening, but they do not tell you what to do about it. That decision belongs to your rational mind if you choose to use it. Here's what most people don't understand. You can feel something without acting on it. You can be angry without being cruel. You can be afraid without being paralyzed. You can be sad without being defeated. You can be excited without being reckless. Feelings are not marching orders. But let me ask you this. How many poor decisions have you made while following your emotions? How many relationships have you damaged while honoring your feelings? How many opportunities have you missed while trusting your gut? The disciplined mind treats emotions like weather, natural phenomena to be acknowledged, not divine commands to be obeyed. When you feel angry, you note the anger without becoming angry. When you feel afraid, you observe the fear without being fearful. When you feel desire, you recognize the desire without being controlled by it. This is not suppression. Suppression is pretending you do not feel what you feel. This is mastery. Mastery is feeling what you feel and choosing what to do about it. One denies reality, the other accepts reality and rises above it. Watch how most people live. They feel irritated, so they become irritable. They feel attracted, so they pursue. They feel hurt, so they lash out. They feel anxious, so they avoid. They are slaves to every emotional fluctuation, prisoners of every feeling that passes through their consciousness. The trained mind operates differently. It feels irritation and asks, is this irritation justified? Does acting on it serve my goals? It feels attraction and asks, is this attraction wise? Will pursuing it improve my life? It feels hurt and asks, is this hurt worth carrying? Will expressing it heal or harm? This is emotional intelligence, not the ability to feel more, but the ability to think about feeling, not the capacity for greater emotional intensity, but the wisdom to choose which emotions deserve action. Your emotions are not your identity. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not your sadness. You are not your joy. You are the consciousness that experiences these states. You are the observer, not the observed. You are the chooser, not the chosen. This distinction changes everything. When you identify with your emotions, you become their prisoner. When you separate yourself from your emotions, you become their master. One perspective makes you reactive, the other makes you responsive. The disciplined mind has learned a secret. Most emotions are temporary visitors that want to become permanent residents. Anger wants to move in and redecorate your entire personality. Fear wants to set up a security system that locks out all possibility. Sadness wants to paint everything black and draw the curtains permanently. Do not let them. Feel what you feel, then choose what you choose. Experience what arises, then decide what deserves your energy. Acknowledge what is happening in your emotional world, then determine what should happen in your actual world. This does not make you cold. It makes you conscious. This does not make you heartless. It makes you wise. This does not make you inhuman. It makes you fully human, a being capable of feeling deeply and thinking clearly at the same time. The goal is not to eliminate emotion. The goal is to stop being eliminated by emotion. The goal is not to feel less. The goal is to choose more. The goal is not to become a machine. The goal is to become the driver instead of the passenger. Your emotions are powerful servants, but terrible masters. Employ them wisely, but never let them employ you. Stop worshiping emotion. Start mastering it. You will suffer. This is not a possibility. This is a guarantee. The question is not whether you will face pain, but what kind of pain you will choose. Will you suffer for something meaningful, or will you suffer for nothing at all? Most people suffer accidentally. They suffer because they avoid difficult conversations. They suffer because they postpone important decisions. They suffer because they choose comfort over growth. Their pain serves no purpose except to teach. Them that avoiding necessary pain creates unnecessary pain. The disciplined mind suffers deliberately. It chooses the pain that builds rather than the pain that breaks. It chooses the discomfort of discipline over the agony of regret. It chooses the struggle of growth over the stagnation of safety. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle deserves your attention. Not every hill deserves your blood. You must learn to suffer selectively for your principles, your mission, your growth. Everything else is waste. Here's what most people don't understand. You are already suffering. The question is what you are getting in return. Are you suffering to become stronger, wiser, more capable? Or are you suffering to stay the same, avoid responsibility, maintain comfortable illusions? But let me ask you this. What are you suffering for right now? What pain in your life is building something valuable? What discomfort is moving you toward your goals? What struggle is making you better? The undisciplined person suffers from their choices but learns nothing from their pain. They make the same mistakes repeatedly. They face the same consequences endlessly. They experience pain without purpose, struggle without strategy, hardship without harvest. The disciplined person transforms suffering into strength. Every difficulty becomes a teacher. Every setback becomes a setup. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to discover what they are truly made of. There is noble suffering and ignoble suffering. Noble suffering comes from pursuing worthy goals, maintaining high standards, and refusing to compromise your values. Ignoble suffering comes from avoiding growth, resisting reality, and insisting that life should be easier than it is. One type of suffering builds character, the other destroys it. One creates strength, the other creates weakness. One leads to wisdom, the other leads to bitterness. Choose your suffering carefully. The person who suffers to build their business learns resilience, creativity, and problem solving. The person who suffers because they hate their job learns only resentment. The person who suffers to improve their relationships learns communication, empathy, and love. The person who suffers because they avoid difficult conversations learns only isolation. Same amount of pain, completely different results. Watch where you invest your suffering. Are you struggling to become better or struggling to stay the same? Are you enduring hardship to build something meaningful or enduring hardship to avoid building anything at all? The disciplined mind embraces necessary suffering and rejects unnecessary suffering. It says yes to the pain of training and no to the pain of weakness. It says yes to the discomfort of truth and no to the agony of deception. It says yes to the difficulty of growth and no to the misery of stagnation. This is not masochism. This is strategy. This is not seeking pain for its own sake. This is choosing pain that serves a purpose over pain that serves nothing. Every successful person has learned this principle. The athlete chooses the pain of training over the pain of losing. The entrepreneur chooses the pain of building over the pain of poverty. The artist chooses the pain of creation over the pain of unexpressed potential. They understand that all pain is not equal. Some pain strengthens, some pain weakens, some pain teaches, some pain confuses, some pain builds, some pain destroys. The key is consciousness. Most people suffer unconsciously. They stumble into pain without purpose, endure hardship without meaning, face difficulty without direction. Their suffering is random, reactive, wasteful. Your suffering must be intentional. You must choose what deserves your struggle. You must decide what is worth your pain. You must determine what kind of person your suffering will create, because suffering will create a person. The question is, what kind of person will emerge from your pain? Will they be stronger or weaker, wiser or more foolish, more capable or less capable? The choice is yours. Choose what to suffer for, then suffer well. When crisis strikes, most people scatter their energy like seeds in a storm. They think frantically, act desperately, and move in every direction except the right one. They mistake motion for progress, noise for productivity, panic for urgency. The disciplined mind does not scatter. It focuses. It does not react. It calculates. It does not rush. It moves with precision. Precision is power focused into a single point. When you are precise, you waste no energy on irrelevant actions. You spend no time on meaningless activities. You direct every resource toward the outcome that matters most. The undisciplined mind tries to solve 10 problems at once and solves none of them well. The trained mind solves one problem completely, then moves to the next. One wastes energy. The other creates results. Here's what most people don't understand. Urgency and importance are not the same thing. Urgent feels immediate. Important creates lasting impact. Most people spend their lives responding to urgent things that do not matter while ignoring important things that determine their future. But let me ask you this. When pressure builds, do you become more focused or more scattered? When stakes rise, do you think more clearly or more frantically? When time shortens, do you become more efficient or more chaotic? The disciplined mind has trained for pressure. It knows that when circumstances become complex, thinking must become simple. When options multiply, decisions must become clearer. When chaos increases, focus must become sharper. This is the paradox of mastery. The more difficult the situation, the more basic the response must become. Advanced practitioners return to fundamentals under pressure. They do not try new techniques when stakes are high. They execute what they have practiced until it became automatic. Watch how panic spreads. One person becomes frantic, and soon everyone is frantic. One person starts rushing, and soon everyone is rushing. One person begins making desperate decisions, and soon desperation becomes contagious. The precise mind breaks this cycle. It moves deliberately when others move desperately. It thinks clearly when others think frantically. It remains methodical when others become chaotic. Its precision creates calm in the midst of storm. Precision begins with clarity about what actually needs to happen. Not what might need to happen, not what could need to happen. What must happen for the situation to improve. Everything else is distraction. The panicked mind sees 100 problems that need immediate attention. The precise mind sees the 3 problems that actually matter and the 1 problem that must be solved first. It creates sequence where others see only chaos. This requires the courage to ignore secondary issues while primary issues remain unsolved. It requires the discipline to say no to urgent requests that do not serve important goals. It requires the wisdom to distinguish between what feels critical and what is actually critical. Most people cannot make this distinction under pressure. Their judgment becomes clouded by adrenaline. Their priorities become confused by emotion. Their thinking becomes scattered by fear. The trained mind maintains its ability to evaluate and prioritize even when circumstances become intense. It asks the right questions. What is the real problem here? What outcome do we actually need? What action will have the greatest impact? What can we control right now? Different questions create different results. Panic questions create panic answers. Precise questions create precise answers. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your solutions. Precision also means economy of action. The precise mind does not take 10 steps when 5 will suffice. It does not use complex solutions when simple ones will work. It does not expend maximum effort when minimum effort will achieve the goal. This is efficiency born of clarity. When you know exactly what needs to happen, you can make it happen with minimal waste. When you understand exactly what you are trying to achieve, you can achieve it with maximum effectiveness. The undisciplined mind overcomplicates everything under pressure. It creates elaborate plans that fall apart at first contact with reality. It develops complex strategies that require perfect execution. It builds solutions that are too fragile for actual conditions. The disciplined mind simplifies everything under pressure. It creates robust plans that adapt to changing circumstances. It develops straightforward strategies that work even when execution is imperfect. It builds solutions that remain effective under stress. Precision over panic. Focus over frenzy. Clarity over chaos. This is how strength responds to challenge. This is how mastery handles crisis. This is how the disciplined mind turns pressure into power. They want a reaction. They want to see you lose control. They want to pull you into their chaos and watch you abandon your principles. They want to prove that you are no different from them. Reactive, emotional, controlled by external forces. Do not give them what they want. The person who can provoke you controls you. The person who can make you angry owns your emotional state. The person who can disrupt your peace has power over your inner world. Why would you grant such power to anyone, especially someone who would use it against you? Refuse to be provoked. This is not weakness. This is strength. This is not avoidance. This is mastery. This is not surrendering the field. This is choosing the battlefield. Here's what most people don't understand. When you react to provocation, you lose twice. First, you lose your composure. Second, you lose your effectiveness. The angry person makes poor decisions. The reactive person becomes predictable. The provoked person becomes a puppet. But let me ask you this. Who has the power to make you angry? Who can disrupt your peace with a few words? Who can make you abandon your values with a single action? Why have you given them this power? The disciplined mind recognizes provocation for what it is, a test of your inner strength. Every insult is a question. Are you solid or fragile? Every attack is an inquiry. Are you centered or easily moved? Every attempt to anger you is an examination. Are you master of yourself or slave to others? Pass the test. Stay centered. Prove your mastery. Watch how provocation works. Someone says something designed to hurt you. If you react with hurt, they have succeeded. Someone acts in a way meant to anger you. If you respond with anger, they have won. Someone behaves in a manner intended to frustrate you. If you become frustrated, they have achieved their goal. Your reaction is their victory. Your composure is their defeat. The person who remains calm while others lose their minds gains enormous advantage. They think clearly while others think frantically. They make good decisions while others make emotional ones. They see opportunities while others see only problems. This does not mean becoming passive. This does not mean accepting abuse. This does not mean failing to defend yourself or others. This means responding instead of reacting. This means choosing your battles instead of letting others choose them for you. The disciplined mind responds to provocation with questions, not emotions. Why is this person trying to provoke me? What do they gain if I react? What do I lose if I take the bait? What response would serve my highest good? Different questions create different emotional states. Victim questions create victim emotions. Strategic questions create strategic emotions. The person asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" becomes defensive. The person asking, "What is the best way to handle this?" becomes effective. Sometimes the best response to provocation is no response at all. Silence can be more powerful than words. Indifference can be more devastating than anger. Calm can be more unsettling than chaos. The person trying to provoke you expects certain reactions. They have prepared for your anger, your defensiveness, your hurt. They have not prepared for your composure. Your unexpected calm disrupts their entire strategy. This is psychological warfare at its highest level. Not attacking others, but refusing to be attacked. Not trying to control others, but maintaining complete control of yourself. Not seeking to provoke, but refusing to be provoked. Watch what happens when you refuse to react. The provocateur becomes frustrated. They increase their efforts. They try harder to get the reaction they want. Their desperation becomes obvious. Their weakness becomes visible. Their lack of real power becomes clear. Stay still. Stay centered. Stay strong. Let them exhaust themselves against your composure. Let them waste their energy on your indifference. Let them break themselves against your unshakable calm. The disciplined mind understands a fundamental truth. Your peace is more valuable than their opinion. Your composure is more important than their approval. Your inner stability is more precious than their emotional satisfaction. Do not trade your peace for their chaos. Do not exchange your strength for their weakness. Do not surrender your power to their provocation. They cannot make you angry without your permission. They cannot disrupt your peace without your cooperation. They cannot control your reactions. Without your participation, refuse to participate. Refuse to cooperate. Refuse to grant permission. Refuse to be provoked. Your mind is consuming poison every day. Gossip, distraction, useless opinions, mindless entertainment, mental junk food that weakens your capacity for deep thought, meaningful reflection, and purposeful action. You would not feed your body garbage and expect it to perform well. Why do you feed your mind garbage and expect it to think clearly? The disciplined mind is selective about what it consumes. It chooses inputs that strengthen rather than weaken, that build rather than break, that elevate rather than diminish. It guards its attention as carefully as a soldier guards his post. Look at what fills your mental space. How much time do you spend on social media scrolling through content that adds nothing to your life? How much energy do you invest in conversations about people who have no impact on your goals? How much attention do you give to news that you cannot influence and that does not influence your daily actions. This is not living. This is mental masturbation, consuming without creating, observing without participating, reacting without responding. You are allowing your mind to become weak and scattered when it should be strong and focused. Here's what most people don't understand. Your attention is your most valuable resource. It is more precious than your time because it determines the quality of your time. Where you place your attention shapes what you think about. What you think about shapes how you feel. How you feel shapes what you do. What you do shapes who you become. But let me ask you this. What percentage of your attention each day goes to inputs that make you stronger, wiser, more capable? What percentage goes to mental junk that serves no purpose except to distract you from what matters? The untrained mind consumes everything it encounters. Like a person who eats whatever is placed in front of them, it absorbs every piece of information, every opinion, every distraction without discrimination. Soon it becomes bloated with irrelevance and starved of meaning. The trained mind is different. It has developed taste. It knows the difference between information that nourishes and information that pollutes. It seeks knowledge that can be applied, wisdom that can guide decisions, insights that can improve performance. This requires conscious curation. You must become the gatekeeper of your own consciousness. You must decide what deserves your mental energy and what does not. You must choose what enters your awareness and what remains outside it. Start with subtraction. What can you remove from your mental diet that serves no constructive purpose? What conversations can you avoid that drain your energy without adding value? What sources of information can you eliminate that create anxiety without enabling action? Most people are afraid to subtract. They fear missing out on something important. But here is the truth. You are already missing out on something important. You are missing out on clarity. You are missing out on focus. You are missing out on the mental space necessary for deep thought and creative insight. The disciplined mind creates mental space by removing mental clutter. It chooses depth over breadth, quality over quantity, signal over noise. It would rather know a few things deeply than many things superficially. Replace what you remove with what you need. If you eliminate gossip, add philosophy. If you remove mindless entertainment, add meaningful learning. If you stop consuming others' opinions, start developing your own. Nature abhors a vacuum. Fill the space with something better. Guard your mental inputs as carefully as you guard your physical inputs. You would not drink polluted water. Do not consume polluted information. You would not eat rotten food. Do not feed on rotten ideas. You would not breathe toxic air. Do not inhale toxic conversations. The quality of your thinking depends on the quality of your inputs. Garbage in, garbage out. Excellence in, excellence out. The disciplined mind is disciplined about what it allows inside. This is not about becoming isolated or ignorant. This is about becoming selective and intentional. This is not about avoiding all news or never engaging in casual conversation. This is about being conscious of the ratio between mental nutrition and mental junk food. Most people's minds are like convenience stores, filled with quick, cheap, immediately satisfying, but ultimately harmful products. The disciplined mind is like a fine restaurant. Everything is chosen for quality, prepared with care, and consumed with appreciation. Your mind deserves better than the mental equivalent of fast food. It deserves ideas that challenge you to grow, information that helps you make better decisions, conversations that elevate your thinking, content that inspires you to become your best self. Stop feeding your mind junk. Start feeding it what it needs to thrive. Purge what weakens your mind. Consume what strengthens it. This is how clarity returns. This is how focus deepens. This is how mental strength develops. No more mental junk. Impulse screams now. Desire demands immediately. Emotion insists this instant. But wisdom whispers, wait. And in that whisper lies the difference between strength and weakness, between mastery and slavery, between the disciplined mind and the reactive one. Learn to delay. This is where power begins. The person who cannot delay gratification cannot achieve greatness. The person who must have everything immediately will never build anything lasting. The person who reacts to every impulse will never develop the strength to choose their responses. Delay is not denial. You are not saying no to what you want. You are saying not yet. You are creating space between desire and action, between feeling and behavior, between impulse and decision. In that space lives your freedom. Here's what most people don't understand. The ability to delay is the foundation of all other abilities. If you cannot delay your reaction to anger, you will make decisions that destroy relationships. If you cannot delay your response to fear, you will avoid opportunities that could transform your life. If you cannot delay your urge for comfort, you will never develop the strength that comes from facing difficulty. But let me ask you this: when was the last time you felt a strong impulse and chose to wait before acting on it? When did you want something immediately and decided to delay? When did you feel emotional and chose to pause before responding? The undisciplined mind is a slave to timing that serves weakness. It wants to eat when it feels hungry, sleep when it feels tired, quit when it feels discouraged, attack when it feels angry. It lets biology and emotion determine its schedule. The disciplined mind sets its own timing based on what serves strength. It eats when eating serves its goals, sleeps when sleeping serves its performance, persists when persisting serves its mission, responds when responding serves its values. This is not about suppressing natural needs. This is about becoming conscious of the difference between needs and wants, between impulse and intention, between what feels urgent and what is actually important. Most people cannot distinguish between these categories. They treat every want like a need, every impulse like an intention, every feeling of urgency like actual importance. They live at the mercy of their most immediate sensations. The trained mind has learned to question timing. Why now? Why this? Why so quickly? Often the answers reveal that the urgency is false, the timing is poor, the method is flawed. Watch how delay transforms decision-making. The angry email you want to send immediately looks foolish after an hour of reflection. The expensive purchase you must have today seems unnecessary after a week of consideration. The harsh words you want to speak in the moment sound cruel after a day of cooling down. Time is the great revealer of truth. What seems critical in the heat of emotion often seems trivial in the light of reflection. What feels like the right decision when you are upset often becomes clearly the wrong decision when you are calm. The discipline of delay gives you access to this wisdom. It lets you see situations more clearly, understand your motivations more honestly, and choose your actions more wisely. But delay requires training. Your entire culture is designed to eliminate delay. Everything promises instant results, immediate satisfaction, quick fixes. You have been conditioned to expect that wanting something and getting something should happen simultaneously. This conditioning makes you weak. It teaches you that discomfort should be eliminated immediately, that desire should be satisfied instantly, that problems should be solved without patience. It creates a mind that cannot tolerate the space between wanting and having. The disciplined mind embraces this space. It finds power in the pause. It discovers strength in the wait. It develops wisdom in the delay. This is not procrastination. Procrastination delays what should be done now. Discipline delays what should not be done yet. One avoids necessary action. The other prevents unnecessary action. Learn to delay emotion. Feel the anger, but wait before expressing it. Experience the fear, but pause before fleeing. Notice the desire, but hesitate before pursuing it. Learn to delay reaction. Something happens, but you do not immediately respond. Someone speaks, but you do not instantly reply. A situation arises, but you do not reflexively act. Learn to delay gratification. You want something, but you do not immediately seek it. You desire an outcome, but you do not instantly pursue it. You crave satisfaction, but you do not reflexively grasp for it. In each delay, you build the muscle of conscious choice. In each pause, you create space for wisdom. In each wait, you prove that you are stronger than your impulses. The discipline of delay is the discipline of power. Master it, and you master yourself. You do not need approval to live your truth. You do not need permission to pursue your goals. You do not need consensus to follow your values. You do not need validation to become who you are meant to be. Yet you spend your life seeking approval from people who are not qualified to give it. Stop asking for permission that you do not need. The disciplined mind acts from internal authority, not external validation. It knows what is right and does what is right regardless of who approves or disapproves. It draws its strength from principles, not from popularity. It finds its direction from values, not from votes. But most people are approval addicts. They cannot make a decision without checking how others will react. They cannot take action without ensuring others will support them. They cannot be themselves without guaranteeing others will accept them. This is not living. This is performing. This is not being authentic. This is being acceptable. This is not following your path. This is following the path others have approved for you. Here's what most people don't understand. Seeking approval is seeking weakness. When you need others to validate your choices, you give them power over your life. When you require others to support your decisions, you make them responsible for your outcomes. When you depend on others to accept you, you become a slave to their opinions. But let me ask you this: whose permission are you seeking? Are these people living lives you admire? Are they achieving things you respect? Are they demonstrating character you want to emulate? If not, why does their approval matter to your decisions? The person who needs permission to act will never act with full power. They will always hold back, always second guess, always wonder if they should have waited for more approval. They will live at partial strength because they have surrendered part of their authority to others. Watch how this plays out. You have an idea, but you do not pursue it because your family might not understand. You have a dream, but you do not chase it because your friends might not support it. You have values, but you do not live them because society might not approve. Meanwhile, life passes. Opportunities disappear. Potential remains unrealized, all because you were waiting for permission that you never needed and approval that you should not want. The disciplined mind understands that approval from others is often disapproval from yourself. When you shape your life to please others, you displease the person who matters most, you. When you live according to others' expectations, you abandon your own. When you seek their validation, you reject your own judgment. This is a terrible trade. You sacrifice your authenticity for their approval. You abandon your truth for their comfort. You surrender your power for their acceptance. And what do you get in return? Conditional love that disappears the moment you stop performing. The person who needs permission is advertising their weakness. They are announcing that they do not trust their own judgment, that they do not believe in their own decisions, that they do not have confidence in their own values. Why would anyone follow someone who does not trust themselves? Real strength does not seek approval. It seeks results. Real character does not need validation. It needs only alignment with principles. Real leadership does not require consensus. It requires conviction. This does not mean being reckless or ignoring wise counsel. This means distinguishing between seeking advice and seeking approval. Advice helps you make better decisions. Approval seeks to make your decisions for you. Thor. Disciplined mind welcomes input from qualified sources, but maintains final authority over its choices. It listens to those who have wisdom to offer, but does not surrender decision-making power to anyone. You know what is right for you better than anyone else does. You understand your circumstances more clearly than outside observers. You feel your motivations more accurately than external judges. You see your potential more honestly than distant critics. Trust yourself, not blindly but intelligently, not without consideration but without requiring permission. Not without listening to others, but without being controlled by others. Start making decisions from your own authority. Start acting from your own values. Start living from your own truth. Stop waiting for permission that you do not need from people who are not qualified to give it. The world does not need another person who lives by committee. It needs individuals who have the courage to live by conviction, the strength to act from principle, the wisdom to trust their own judgment. Every time you ask for permission you do not need, you weaken your ability to act when action is required. Every time you seek approval for decisions that are yours to make, you train yourself to doubt your own judgment. Every time you wait for consensus before following your values, you teach yourself that your values are not worth following. Stop this pattern. Stop asking for permission. Start taking responsibility. Stop seeking approval. Start living authentically. Stop waiting for others to validate your choices. Start making choices worthy of validation. You already have permission to live your life. You gave it to yourself the day you were born. Stop pretending you need anyone else to renew it. The disciplined mind acts from internal authority. Find yours. Use it. Trust it. Stop asking for permission you do not need. You have been taught lies about strength. You have been told that strength is loud, aggressive, dominating. You have been shown images of strength that look like force, sound like anger, and feel like violence. This is not strength. This is weakness disguised as power. True strength is quiet. True strength is disciplined. True strength is the ability to remain calm under pressure, clear under confusion, and centered under attack. Strength is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of fear. Strength is not the elimination of doubt. It is decision despite doubt. Strength is not the avoidance of pain. It is growth through pain. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The most aggressive person in the conversation is usually the most insecure. The most dominating person in the relationship is often the most afraid. They mistake volume for authority, aggression for confidence, control for strength. Here's what most people don't understand. True strength is internal. It does not need external validation. It does not require others to acknowledge it. It does not depend on circumstances to reveal it. It exists independent of audience, situation, or outcome. But let me ask you this. What does strength look like in your life? When you think of being strong, what images come to mind? When you want to demonstrate strength, what do? When you feel weak, what do you think you need to become stronger? The disciplined mind has redefined strength around stillness, not motion, around depth, not surface, around substance, not show. It understands that the strongest trees are not the ones that sway the most in the wind, but the ones with the deepest roots. Watch how real strength operates. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It does not require recognition. It simply is. And because it is, it influences everything around it without effort. The person with real strength does not need to raise their voice to be heard. Their words carry weight because they are backed by substance. They do not need to use force to get their way. Their presence creates natural authority. They do not need to prove their power. Their composure demonstrates it. This kind of strength is built in silence. It grows through daily choices that no one sees. It develops through private struggles that no one knows about. It strengthens through internal victories that no one celebrates. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you build strength. Every time you remain calm under pressure, you build strength. Every time you act from principle rather than emotion, you build strength. Every time you delay gratification for a greater good, you build strength. This strength accumulates day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. It grows stronger, not louder, but deeper, not more visible, but more solid, not more impressive to others, but more reliable to yourself. The weak person tries to appear strong through external displays. They raise their voice, make threats, dominate conversations, control others. But underneath the performance is fear. Fear that others will see their insecurity, discover their inadequacy, expose their weakness. The strong person has no need for such performances. They are comfortable with their own power. They are secure in their own worth. They are confident in their own abilities. They do not need to prove anything to anyone because they have already proven everything to themselves. Redefine strength around self-control, not other control. Around inner peace, not outer chaos. Around calm confidence, not loud insecurity. Around disciplined thinking under pressure, not reactive emotion under stress. This is the strength that matters. This is the strength that lasts. This is the strength that builds rather than breaks, creates rather than destroys, elevates rather than diminishes. The world needs this kind of strength. Not more people who can dominate others, but more people who can master themselves. Not more people who can create fear, but more people who can create calm. Not more people who can win through force, but more people who can lead through example. True strength is not about what you can do to others. It is about what you can do with yourself. It is not about your power over external circumstances. It is about your mastery of internal responses. This is the strength of the disciplined mind. This is the power of the trained soul. This is the force of the centered human being. Redefine strength. Then become it. Each time you resist a distraction, you forge a piece of armor. Each time you overcome a reactive thought, you strengthen your defenses. Each time you choose principle over impulse, you build protection that no enemy can pierce. This armor is not made of metal. It is made of disciplined choices repeated until they become unbreakable habit. The undisciplined mind is defenseless. Every criticism penetrates, every distraction derails, every temptation conquers. It has no protection against the constant assault of modern life, the endless stream of information, opinion, emotion, and demand that seeks to control your attention and direct your energy. The disciplined mind builds armor through practice. Layer by layer, choice by choice, it creates protection that allows it to move through chaos while maintaining inner order, to face attacks while preserving inner peace, to encounter temptation while keeping inner strength. This armor is invisible, but impenetrable. You cannot see it, but you can feel its effects. Criticism bounces off instead of sinking in. Distraction slides away instead of sticking. Pressure creates focus instead of panic. Chaos reveals opportunity instead of confusion. Here's what most people don't understand. Mental armor is not built through single acts of heroism. It is built through countless small moments of choosing strength over weakness, discipline over impulse, principle over convenience. Each choice adds another layer of protection. But let me ask you this: what attacks your peace of mind most frequently? What distractions pull you away from your goals most easily? What pressures make you abandon your principles most quickly? These are the areas where you need the strongest armor. The process is simple, but not easy. Every day you will face moments that test your discipline. In those moments, you have a choice. You can react as you always have, or you can respond as you want to become. Each time you choose the response of the person you want to become, you become more like that person. Watch how armor builds. Someone insults you, and instead of reacting with anger, you respond with calm curiosity about their motivation. You have just forged a piece of armor against future insults. Something disappoints you, and instead of collapsing into self-pity, you extract the lesson and adjust your approach. You have just strengthened your armor against future disappointments. This is not about becoming emotionless. This is about becoming emotionally intelligent. This is not about suppressing feelings. This is about not being suppressed by feelings. This is not about avoiding challenges. This is about meeting challenges from a position of strength. The armored mind feels everything, but is controlled by nothing. It experiences the full range of human emotion without being enslaved by any particular emotion. It remains open to input without being overwhelmed by input. It stays connected to others without being controlled by others. Building this armor requires daily practice. You cannot develop it in crisis. You cannot build it under pressure. You must forge it in ordinary moments so it will protect you in extraordinary ones. Start with small acts of discipline. When you want to check your phone, wait 5 minutes. When you feel frustrated, take 3 deep breaths before responding. When you face a difficult task, do it immediately instead of procrastinating. These tiny victories accumulate into massive strength. Each act of discipline makes the next act easier. Each moment of self-control increases your capacity for more self-control. Each choice to do what is hard instead of what is easy builds your ability to choose difficulty when it serves your goals. The weak mind avoids all discomfort and becomes weaker. The strong mind embraces necessary discomfort and becomes stronger. One runs from every challenge and loses the ability to meet any challenge. The other faces manageable challenges and develops the ability to face any challenge. Your mental armor protects not just you, but everyone around you. When you remain calm under pressure, you help others stay calm. When you maintain your principles under attack, you inspire others to maintain theirs. When you choose strength over weakness, you make it easier for others to make the same choice. This is leadership at its most fundamental level. Not telling others what to do, but showing them what is possible. Not commanding others to be strong, but demonstrating what strength looks like. Not demanding others have discipline, but embodying what discipline creates. The world will test your armor daily. People will try to provoke you. Circumstances will try to overwhelm you. Your own impulses will try to control you. If you have no armor, you will be wounded by every attack. If you have strong armor, you will move through every battle unharmed. Build your armor now. Build it through daily choices. Build it through small victories. Build it through consistent discipline. Each time you choose strength, you become stronger. Each time you resist weakness, you build resistance. Each time you overcome impulse, you forge protection. Build mental armor, then watch how the world changes when it cannot wound you. What if every thought was visible? What if every motive was transparent? What if every choice was recorded and every action was observed by forces that could see into the deepest corners of your character? How would you live differently? The disciplined mind lives as if this is true, not because it fears judgment, but because it demands excellence from itself. Not because it seeks to impress others, but because it refuses to disappoint itself. Not because it believes in literal divine observation, but because it understands the power of acting from the highest standard available. When you walk as if watched by the gods, you elevate everything you do. Your thoughts become more careful. Your words become more precise. Your actions become more intentional. Your character becomes more refined. You become worthy of the observation you imagine. This is not paranoia. This is aspiration. This is not fear of being caught doing wrong. This is commitment to doing right, even when no one would know the difference. Here's what most people don't understand. Your character is revealed not in your public moments, but in your private ones. Not when others are watching, but when you think no one is looking. Not in your successes, but in your struggles. Not in your strengths, but in your temptations. But let me ask you this. Who are you when you are alone? What do you think when no one can hear your thoughts? How do you act when no one will know what you have done? What you do in private determines who you become in public. The person who requires external observation to behave well has weak character. They are good only when goodness is rewarded, honest only when honesty is monitored, disciplined only when discipline is enforced. Remove the external pressure and their character collapses. The person who maintains high standards without external pressure has strong character. They are good because goodness aligns with their values, honest because honesty reflects their nature, disciplined because discipline serves their goals. They need no external force to do what is right. Walk as if watched by the gods, and you develop this internal compass. You create standards that do not depend on audience, approval, or enforcement. You build character that stands firm regardless of circumstances, pressure, or temptation. This transforms how you handle every situation. When you are angry, you ask yourself, if the gods were watching, how would I respond to this provocation? When you are tempted to take shortcuts, you wonder, if my actions were being recorded, what would I choose to do? When you face difficult decisions, you consider, if I had to defend this choice to the highest authority, what would I decide? Different questions create different behaviors. Questions based on immediate gratification create weak choices. Questions based on ultimate accountability create strong choices. Questions that consider only present consequences create short-term thinking. Questions that imagine eternal observation create long-term wisdom. The disciplined mind knows that everything you do matters, even when it seems like nothing you do matters. Every choice shapes your character. Every action reinforces a pattern. Every decision teaches you about yourself. There are no insignificant moments when you are building a life. This is why small choices matter as much as large ones. How you handle minor irritations reveals how you will handle major crises. How you treat people who can do nothing for you shows how you will treat people who can do everything for you. How you behave when no one is watching predicts how you will behave when everyone is watching. The gods see it all. Not literal gods, perhaps, but the force of truth that exists in the universe. The principle of cause and effect that ensures every action creates consequences. The law of character that guarantees you become what you repeatedly do. When you walk as if watched by the gods, you become someone worth watching. Your thoughts become cleaner, your motivations become purer, your actions become nobler, your character becomes stronger. You transform into the person you would want to be if everything about you was visible. This is not about perfection. This is about intention. This is not about never making mistakes. This is about making mistakes for the right reasons rather than the wrong ones. This is not about being superhuman. This is about being fully human, conscious, responsible, purposeful. The observer effect is real. When you believe you are being watched, you behave differently. Use this psychological truth to improve your character. Create the sense of observation that elevates your choices, refines your thoughts, and strengthens your will. You are being watched by your future self, by your deepest values, by the part of you that knows the difference between who you are and who you could become. Walk worthy of that observation. Walk as if watched by the gods. Your mind is the most sacred space you will ever occupy. It is the temple where your thoughts worship, where your values reside, where your character is forged. Yet most people treat their minds like dumping grounds, allowing any garbage to enter, any pollution to accumulate, any chaos to reign. This must end. Make your mind a temple. Keep it clean. Keep it strong. Keep it aligned with what matters most. This is where greatness begins and ends, in the quality of your inner sanctuary. A temple is not built by accident. It is designed with intention, constructed with care, and maintained with devotion. Every element serves a purpose. Every space has meaning. Every detail reflects the sacred nature of what happens within. Your mental temple requires the same attention. What thoughts do you allow to enter? What beliefs do you house in your consciousness? What values do you place at the center of your awareness? These choices determine whether your mind becomes a place of power or a place of chaos. Here is what most people don't understand. The state of your mind determines the quality of your life. If your mental temple is cluttered with worry, you will live anxiously. If it is filled with resentment, you will live bitterly. If it is polluted with negativity, you will see the world through dark lenses. But if your mental temple is organized around wisdom, you will live thoughtfully. If it is centered on love, you will live compassionately. If it is aligned with truth, you will live authentically. But let me ask you this. If someone could see inside your mind right now, what would they find? What thoughts dominate your mental space? What emotions rule your inner world? What beliefs shape your daily experience? The disciplined mind curates its contents as carefully as a priest tends his altar. It allows only what serves the highest good. It eliminates what corrupts or weakens. It arranges everything to support clarity, strength, and purpose. This requires daily maintenance. Temples do not stay clean without effort. They do not remain strong without repair. They do not stay aligned without adjustment. Your mental temple demands the same ongoing attention. Start each day by setting the tone of your inner sanctuary. What thoughts will you welcome? What attitudes will you cultivate? What intentions will you place at the center of your awareness? This is not wishful thinking. This is mental architecture. Throughout the day, monitor what enters your mental space. When negative thoughts arise, acknowledge them, but do not give them residence. When destructive emotions visit, recognize them, but do not let them redecorate. When limiting beliefs appear, observe them, but do not let them establish permanent headquarters. You are the guardian of your mental temple. You decide what is sacred and what is profane. You determine what deserves honor and what deserves rejection. You choose what receives your devotion and what receives your dismissal. This is the ultimate responsibility and the ultimate power. No one can force you to think thoughts that weaken you. No one can make you believe ideas that limit you. No one can compel you to host emotions that destroy you. Your mind is your domain. Rule it wisely. The person whose mind is a temple thinks clearly, chooses wisely, and acts purposefully. Their thoughts are organized around truth. Their emotions are aligned with their values. Their decisions flow from principle rather than impulse. This creates a life of coherence. External actions match internal beliefs. Public behavior reflects private character. Daily choices serve long-term goals. Everything is connected because everything emerges from the same sacred source. A mind that knows what it stands for and stands for what it knows. Your mental temple influences everyone around you. When your mind is clean, others feel the clarity. When your thoughts are strong, others sense the power. When your consciousness is aligned, others experience the peace. This is how you change the world, not by changing others, but by creating such a powerful inner sanctuary that its influence radiates naturally to everyone you encounter. The disciplined mind is a temple dedicated to excellence. Its thoughts are prayers for wisdom. Its decisions are offerings of strength. Its actions are expressions of sacred purpose. Every day you have the opportunity to tend this temple. Every moment you can choose what receives your mental devotion. Every breath you can decide whether to honor or dishonor the sacred space of your consciousness. Make your mind a temple. Keep it clean with disciplined thinking. Keep it strong with principled choices. Keep it aligned with purposeful action. This is where greatness begins. This is where character develops. This is where power is born and sustained. Your mind is sacred. Treat it that way. If this message spoke to you, subscribe for more powerful mindset content. Let us know in the comments what part hit you the hardest. You already have what it takes. Now go prove it.